Hi, welcome back everybody. We're going to go through part 2 of the pressing video. So we went through the lecture so we could see everything on the whiteboard. We're going to get into the practical application of it. So if you're a visual learner like me, for example, this will make a little bit more sense for you. Okay, so pressing video basically puts us, we're going to start in the front rack, so you can start taking the bar from a rack, or you can get that clean that we just learned from a video a little bit ago to get you into that position to start with any of these presses. Okay, we're going to go over 3: strict press, the push press, and the split jerk. We're not going to do the push jerk. I'm not a big fan of it. Most people don't have the lumbar stability to support that lift, so I don't like to coach it. Okay, so let's go ahead and push in the front rack position, so get that bar up to your shoulders. Good. And let's break down a couple of points of emphasis. Your feet right here, because you've already cleaned the bar, if you're starting from the ground with it, should be in a good, comfortable squatting position. So a little bit wider than hips, roughly to your shoulders. Okay? Now your hand positioning, I like to see just a little bit wider with their hands, not crazy, get a little bit outside of those shoulders. That will help a lot of people that have flexibility issues through their biceps and also through their wrists. Well, you'll find it'll be a little bit easier here. Okay? So, because we're going to push this bar, we don't want to have a really good, show us like a front squat position. Okay, so get those elbows up super high. High, really high. As much as you can. And it's tough with a PVC pipe, but we don't want to have that same thing as we do in a front rack. We don't need those elbows up nearly as high, but you still want them out in front a little bit to maintain control of that bar, so it's not dipping on you when we come out of that, like the push press and split jerk, for example. Okay, so positioning right here looks pretty good. The biggest thing that we're looking for, I'm going to put my hands on it. It's my wife, so it's okay. When we find the belly button and the sternum, I have about my hand's width from thumb to pinky between those two. The big thing that we're going to see, and we want to make sure it doesn't change when she pushes this overhead. Go ahead and push one time. We'll go over all the technicality. She did a great job there. She didn't separate my hands. Okay, that's a pretty common tendency. So go ahead and bring the bar back down. Show us one with a lot of lumbar extension. There. So she pulled me apart there. Okay, go ahead and relax. That's a pretty good trigger. Obviously, you can't put your own hand on yourself while you're pushing with 2 hands on a barbell, but that is a pretty good test if your coach or your partner or whoever can kind of check that for you. That way you know you're maintaining a good tight core and you have good midline stabilization when you're pushing something overhead. Okay? So go ahead and turn to the side for us, Jess. It'll be a lot easier to see the finer points of the pressing. So the first thing that we want to look for, I'm going to have you show me a crappy one first. Okay? So the bar path on this, just like everything else, needs to be straight up and down. We don't want to see it deviate too far away in the frontal plane from your center of mass. Okay, so we want to push this thing straight ahead. So again, show us a bad one and go around your head as you push. Good. So you see how there's a big circle to that route. Now you're going to lose an awful lot of control. Go ahead and come back down if you get that thing away from your center of mass. Okay? So to do that, what's in your way, right? It's your chin. So you got to get that head out of the way. All right, now this is where we have to have that kinesthetic awareness to make sure we still stay tight here and not overextend that lumbar. It's just your neck that has to get out of the way. So go ahead and bob your neck back for us, Jess. Good. So she's clear now that she can push that bar straight. And it's going to be awful close to your face. So go ahead and go up nice and slow for us. Good. And head forward again at the top. Okay. So head back, push, head forward. Good. You kind of want to see it come through the window a little bit. Go back to that top position just for a second for us. Good. So you see how we can't really see her face in the video, right? Because she's in a good position at the top. We don't want to see you put your head back for us. That. It shouldn't be behind those arms. We want your ears right next to your biceps. Bring it back forward again. Like so. From the side profile, you really don't see much of her head, right? Go ahead and relax. So the strict press is pretty simple. The biggest thing we're looking for, again, is that stabilization through your midline. And we want to make sure that core stays real strong as we push. Okay, and that bar path shouldn't deviate a lot for us from that frontal plane. Okay? So let's move on to the push press. All the same basic principles apply here. Our setup doesn't change. The action is slightly different, but the bar path still needs to maintain really, really good in a straight line. Okay? So the only thing we're going to add now is a dip and a drive. So we're incorporating some bigger muscles in the lower body to help us move a heavier load, ideally in a push press, okay, from the strict press. All right, so as we dip, go ahead and dip, and I just want you to sit in that dip. Good, that's about all we need. All right, so it should look relatively similar to your hang position from clean, right? And you notice how, as she's dipped, stay there for as long as you can, please. We're doing something that we never teach, right? Our knees are leading the way. Remember, in a squat, we want to make sure our butt's the very first thing to break. But with this press, we want to make sure that she stays nice and straight up and down through that torso. Okay, so go ahead and lean forward for us one time and show us what that would look like. If we dip like that, because of your elbow positioning here, you're going to notice that if this is weighted, It's gonna just dump it, okay? So go ahead and get back to that good position, nice and straight up and down, good. Our hip is loaded right here, just enough closed that we've got some power build up there so that you can drive it. Good. And then you notice everything from the strict press still applies here. Core's tight, head goes back, head comes back through when that bar clears her face so she doesn't snag herself, okay? So give us one from the side profile here, dip and drive. Good. Turn to the front and dip and drive. Beautiful. Go ahead and relax. So those are your first two, pretty straightforward, not a lot changes. And again, I'm not going to teach the push press, or excuse me, the push jerk. I don't personally think it's very safe for most people. They don't have the midline stability typically to execute it safely, so I skip it. I think the split jerk is a more natural movement anyway. So let's go ahead and learn the split jerk. Again, the setup's going to be exactly the same as the other two lifts that we just went through. Okay, nothing changes there. The only thing that changes is our action. All right, and even at the beginning, we're still going to have our dip. Okay, so come down to that dip position. That doesn't change. The only thing that changes now from the push press is that when she drives, she's going to dip again. Okay, so just like the clean, we want to get nice and tall and then immediately get shorter. The same thing's going to be true here. So we want her to dip, okay, and then I want you to actually execute one for us. Drive and get under. Good. Now you see, stay in that position if you can, please. The bar only got to about this height, right? If she was doing a push press or a strict press, that thing's got to get clear up here. So that's the advantage of this, is that you can get heavier weights above head. Go ahead and stand up and relax. You can get heavier weights above head because the bar doesn't have to move nearly as far, and you're manipulating yourself around it. Okay, so it doesn't have to move so far for you. Go ahead and turn to the side and we'll go over some of these things. So again, setup stays exactly the same. I'd like to see a little bit higher elbows. Again, with the PVC pipe, it's a little awkward, but you just basically want to have those elbows underneath or even a little bit in front of that bar so that you can maintain control in that front rack position and it doesn't control you. Okay, so go ahead and give us a dip. Good. And when she drives out of this, basically, she's going to get to, what, 5'6", 5'5", 5'6". She's going to get to that height and then immediately drop down into that split position like a lunge. Okay, so let's see that. Good. Now, this back leg I want you to think of as your kickstand. So when you land, that thing has to be straight. You have to have that quad locked. You have to be flexing that butt on that side. Okay, because we want this thing to be, again, your main support system for this weight being overhead. All right, go ahead and stand up for us. Good. And we'll go over how she stands up out of that position too. She actually had a nice move going through that side version. So again, the execution is not a lot different from a push press. The only big thing is that as soon as we get nice and tall and that weight starts coming up off the shoulder, we want to get small and get underneath it so it doesn't have to travel so far for us, okay? So go ahead and do one more and stay in that split position when you catch it. Good. Now, what's natural for most people, they think that, okay, this leg's in front when we walk, right? We normally walk forward, not backward. How weird would that be if we see people walking down the sidewalk going the wrong direction? Natural or logic states that we're probably going to bring that back leg forward first, right? So let's see that. Good. That's logically how your brain's going to tell you to stand up out of that position. The problem is you're not going to be lifting 6-ounce PVC pipes. Okay, let's say you're going for a pretty max effort here. You've done a clean and you're going into that split jerk. You're in that catch position. Let's say that's 200 pounds. If that's really heavy for you, that's a long distance to step and be on one leg to bring that entire load into a locked position. Okay, so go ahead and get into that split position again. Good. What we want to do to split the difference so that this isn't so big, and again, remember this back leg is your kickstand. It needs to stay strong. We actually want to bring your back leg, or excuse me, your front leg back first, about halfway. So go ahead and do that. Good. Now you've closed that distance, and this is in a better position, this front leg is, to receive a lot of that weight, so then we can bring that back leg up into that nice position there, okay? So give us one more split jerk from the side and then one from the front. Good. I'd like to see a little bit better bar path though, but that's pretty good.
One more?
Yep, dip and drive for us. Good. Step back, step forward. Good. Go ahead and relax. Thank you very much, Jessica. Day assistance / wife. So, hopefully that helps clear things up. Again, from the first talk that we had, draw out this week's stick figures on the board. Seeing it will help clear things up for a lot of people. So, if you guys have questions, shoot them to me via email or just get at me on the YouTube channel. So, thanks for watching, guys.